Just before I get started, would you rather see content first on the Pixel 2, like the regular one, or the Galaxy S8, regular 5.8 inch one? I'm going to do both of these this year, so don't you worry, you will get your crispy content, but which one would you prefer to see first? I will leave a link to a Twitter poll in the description and in the top link of the comments. Recently, I got to spend a bit of time with an LG G6, video to come by the way, very soon. And so I started digging up my G2 to compare the two, because that's the only other LG phone I own, and I wanted to see the similarities between the two. And it got me thinking, should you still buy the LG G2? Hi guys, my name is Ryan Thomas with Fairtech, and today we're going to find out. I just want to say first of all that this phone turns heads. Yes, it's an older phone from 4.5 years ago, and yes, it is a small phone in today's standards, but just judging by the design, the bezels are really small, and the overall design is incredible considering the phone's age. Now back in the day, I believe this was actually far and away ahead of its time, because you look at phones now that are using more of the body, a screen to body ratio of a higher percentage. For example, the OnePlus 5T that has a similar footprint to the 5 but increases the screen size to fill out more of the screen, and this is something that the LG G2 does really well. Now granted, there are on-screen buttons which are going to take up more of the screen real estate, but the overall look of the phone is just gorgeous, and my friend Morgan, who owns a 5T, the 5T featuring in a video very soon, actually looked at the phone and said, geez, that's actually a really good display considering the age of the phone. This white unit accentuates those small bezels, and as well as having a rear place power lock, as well as volume up and down buttons, a really well constructed white body, and a huge 3000 mAh battery, considering the size of this thing, this phone is obviously a masterpiece, but there are a few drawbacks, and today I'm going to be talking about the whole package of an LG G2. The display is really nice for a 4.5-year-old phone. The thing is a 5.2 inch 1080p IPS panel, and yes, IPS isn't going to be as crazily vibrant as OLED, not going to give you the best contrast, but this IPS panel is really vibrant and brilliant considering the fact that it's an IPS. Any concerns regarding sharpness can be left at the door here. A 5.2 inch 1080p display is sharper than that of the iPhone 7, the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and a plethora of new phones such as the OnePlus 5 and the OnePlus 5T. Yes, this 4.5-year-old phone has a sharper display than the OnePlus 5T, which is mad. But it's not just the sharpness that's great about this display. Like I said, it's got an incredible level of clarity and vividness just in the way that it's calibrated out of the box. An IPS display usually means a bit more mundane colours, but this one is an exception to that rule, with incredibly vibrant colours that, when paired with the modern OSs of Lollipop and Up with material design, really do give that display a pop that most displays of this age don't get. And watching videos and playing games on this phone is great, even with a bottom firing speaker. Just beware the boot loop problems, and that's a little teaser as to what's coming up in a little bit. The Snapdragon 800 and 2GB of RAM is a great combo considering the age of the phone. I keep saying that, but it really is quite a spectacle considering the age. Snapdragon 800 is a quad-core unit, and 2GB of RAM isn't quite as much as I'd like. I'd rather have 3, but 2GB is still going to be enough for at least another year yet. And if you install that custom software, the Lineage 14.1 I believe, which is on Nougat, you really do accentuate that performance. Of course, it is by default on 4.4.2, and you can upgrade it to 5.0.2, although I had to use some really sketchy third-party software on my computer, linking up via a USB cable to actually get that onto my phone. There was no over-the-air update for me, but when I did get it on, it looks stellar and really does make that display pop. As the older version of Android, the 4.4.2 version, does look really dated and with some horrible textures and just overall looks bleh. Don't like it. Getting back to that system on the chip, it is way powerful enough for at least the modern 2D titles in games, watching YouTube videos for prolonged lengths of time, and using social media like you would with a phone of this age. This one doesn't get anywhere near as warm as an LG V10, but it does get very warm, so beware of that. Also, one thing to mention is it only comes in 16 and 32GB models with absolutely no microSD expansion. Now this is annoying, but pray that you have a good data plan and you'll be able to back up your stuff to the cloud. But if you're someone like my friend Morgan who installs tons of apps, there is absolutely no way you're doing this on a 16 or 32GB phone, unfortunately. I have covered this in another video, so please do check that out. But for now, I'll just say it's not quite enough storage for my personal needs. Get the 32GB if you can. The 13-megapixel camera with optical image stabilization and the ability to shoot 1080p video at 60 FPS is really nice. At the time, it was like the top dog, almost like the Pixel of now, but back then. Obviously, it doesn't have as great a software as something like the Pixel, but the overall hardware inside this phone is incredible for the photos and video capabilities. Yes, that is an optically stabilized sensor, meaning that it's actually one of the first of the time to give you a 13 megapixel stabilized sensor instead of just some crappy software stabilization, which a lot of phones did have at the time. 1080p 60 is a bit of a weird one for me. I shoot pretty much everything in either 24p or 96p when I'm going slow motion on my GH4, but apart from that, it is nice to have those slightly higher frame rates even at 1080p, and it's something that a lot of phones nowadays take for granted, but we didn't have that back then. Getting onto that battery, it's a 3000 mAh cell. To be clear, that is the same size as the 5.8-inch Galaxy S8 and the 5.5-inch OnePlus 3, and is bigger than both the iPhone 10 and the Pixel 2. How nuts is that? Typically, I would get a whole day of battery life, and my days start at 3 AM and end at around 9 PM, so just to give you some reference for that, it usually lasts maybe 3/4 to the whole day. And there's just one thing that naggles me about this phone. Its software is just not good enough. Now, we know LG is dreadful at releasing updates to their phones, and this is something I'll talk about with my LG G6 video coming very soon, but they are just so bad at releasing software updates, even on their flagships, the G series. But this one is just such great hardware. You've got that brilliant 5.2-inch 1080p IPS panel, that incredible 13 megapixel OIS camera, and a fantastic body that I feel is a very underrated part of the LG G2, and in fact a lot of the LG G series. They're just really well made. But with custom ROMs becoming easier and easier to implement and install on your phone, I feel like most of you're kind of clever people who watch my video. I don't think you're going to have a problem with installing custom ROMs. Just, I've got a tutorial on my channel. There are plenty of tutorials online, step-by-step guides that will help you install this software, and it will take your phone from maybe a 2.5, 3 out of 10, all the way up to like a 7 or 8, and that is incredible considering the 4.5-year-old LG G2. So leading back to the big question then, yes, you should buy the LG G2. If you're looking for one and you're excited about buying one, then you should absolutely go for it. There is not really a hardware problem with this phone, rather a software problem. And that's about it from me, guys. Please do check the link in the comments and the description. I'll try and add as many links as possible to the Twitter poll. I'm going to be closing the poll in about 2 to 3 days, and hopefully you guys will be able to give me kind of an answer, because then I'll buy the phone within the next week and get some more videos out. But if you're new around here, please do subscribe, because it really does help me out. Please do like or dislike depending on your thoughts, and please leave thoughts in the comments. I love interacting with you guys. I know sometimes it's just a click of a like or a click of a heart, but I really do like this feedback, because a lot of it, even if I don't reply to you or interact with your comment, I will see it and I will try and implement it in the next few videos. And this year I'm trying to make it the best that I've ever done. So anyway, guys, again, my name's been Ryan Thomas with Tech. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.